Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, brought to you by our friends over at Briar-Greaves Insurance. Protecting your assets starts with a company that you can count on. So whether it's auto, homeowners, flood, boaters, or business insurance, there is nobody better in the business to work with than the great people over at Briar-Greaves Insurance. For more information about them, visit their website, briargreavesinsurance.com, or give them a call at 813-876-4166. That's 813-876-4166. And I believe there is a special announcement about Briar-Greaves Insurance as well.
That's right. If you give Briar-Greaves Insurance a call and ask them to quote you on your insurance rates, whether it's auto, homeowners, flood, boaters, or business, guess what? You're going to be entered into a raffle to win 2 lower-level tickets to the Bucs-Eagles game in 2 weeks. All you have to do is give them a call, and you're automatically registered in this raffle for 2 tickets for the Bucs-Eagles game in just 2 weeks. So if you don't want to lose out on the opportunity to do this, don't call. But if you want to maybe save some money on your homeowners, auto, flood, boaters, or business insurance and have a chance to win some Bucs-Eagles tickets, give them a call. 813-876-4166, Briar-Greaves Insurance.
That sounds like a great opportunity, so make sure you give them a call. Also, it is a Wednesday edition of the Pewter Report podcast, so it's our preview show, Bucs versus Jets. A fun one coming up, the home opener for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They will be rocking the Bucco Bruce helmets and the throwback 1976 jersey as the 2-0 Bucs try to make it 3-0, going against the 0-2 New York Jets. There's a lot to break down in this game, some injury news on each side, some top matchups, and a whole lot of interesting storylines. So let's get to it. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is the face that runs the place, pewterreport.com, SR, Scott Reynolds. Scott, the Bucs might be 2-0, but they don't look like they're happy to be 2-0, don't they?
No, they're not. I absolutely love the vibe that we saw today in the press conferences from Todd Bowles and from Baker Mayfield. Both had stone-cold killer faces. They are not taking the Jets lightly. I think this team took the Denver Broncos too lightly. We did too at Pewter Report. We just thought, oh, gosh. The Buccaneers have already beaten, who they play? The Commanders in week 1.
In week 2.
They beat the Lions in week 2.
Big signature win, a team that they hadn't beaten before. So yeah,
they felt so good about themselves coming home and playing Bo Nix in his 3rd NFL start, the winless Broncos, and they got their asses absolutely kicked, 27-6 by the Broncos. And I'm sure that's a message that Todd Bowles has reminded this team of. Week 3 has been a problem. And week 3, Todd Bowles wants to get a win in week 3. He's already got the monkey off the back. Can't win in primetime narrative. That is gone after last week's. Really, it was Monday night's primetime win on Monday Night Football against the Houston Texans. But now they have a chance, Matt, to do something that the Bucs haven't done in a long time, and not under Todd Bowles, go 3-0. And he was all business today at the podium.
Absolutely. Todd seemed more in a bad mood than I've seen him in quite a while. But you know what? I don't mind it. You got to keep the focus. You got to, yes. Keep your head moving forward. He talked about not being happy that you're 2-0 and more worried about how are you going to become 3-0. And I think this is a game where you could get distracted in several ways. And, some people will argue there's no such thing as a trap game in the NFL because the Bucs do have a big game next week against the Philadelphia Eagles. Make sure you call Briar-Greaves Insurance.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could say there's such a thing as a trap game, but I think you can say, well, this team is 2-0. They had an emotional win on Monday Night Football, a big-time win in the final seconds.
Yep.
The team is battered and bruised, but still happy that they're 2-0 and probably are thinking about the Eagles a little bit. Plus, you look at a Jets team that's 0-2, looked abysmal in their last game at home. They've lost 2 home games in a row. Now they finally go on the road. I'm sure a lot of people are chalking up the Bucs to win this one, but that's where you get punched in the mouth they did against the Denver Broncos. So Todd Bowles was all business. I absolutely loved it today. Todd Bowles, listen, I'm happy that they're going to be wearing the throwbacks on Sunday.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I think it's great that Derek Brooks is running out of the tunnel with
Yep.
everybody. I love that they're bringing back a lot of former players. Todd Bowles
Doesn't care.
give a damn. He
That's
doesn't
right.
him at all. This is actually Todd Bowles talking about it today. So he answers the first question about, the team starting out 2-0, and then the tail end of the video, he gets asked about like, oh, how great is it? The fanfare of 1976 and the 50-year anniversary. He don't care.
Over the years, being able to get off to such hot starts.
Well, the start is good when you want to go 2-0. The fact is we haven't been 3-0, so that's a problem that we got to try to solve. So we're looking more ahead for that as opposed to just being happy being 2-0. It's a long season. We got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of things to get better at. And like I said, we haven't been 3-0, so that's a big challenge for us this week as opposed to sit there and say we're 2-0 and be happy and then get our asses kicked on Sunday.
To be able to lose.
I think that's great, but that's not going to help us get to 3-0.
How does this get?
Derek Brooks has helped the Bucs win a lot of football games in his life. Derek Brooks is not going to help the Bucs win this Sunday. I love the message from Todd Bowles.
I love it. And the funny thing is, right before Bowles came out, I turned to Matt, everybody, and I said, you watch. He's not going to even be in orange and white today. He's not even going to be in creamsicles. And sure enough, he comes out like in the current Bucs gear. I love it. It's like, that's for the fans and stuff. He doesn't give a crap about the orange and white stuff. He'll play in whatever color you dress him up in, and he just wants to win. And you have to love that about the coach. And I thought Baker Mayfield kind of picked up on that type of tempo too. And, he kind of shrugged off the MVP talk and all of the fanfare. I mean, that stuff doesn't even faze Baker. He has been kicked so much when he has been down in his career that he is not about to get his head in the clouds when things are going his way or his team's way. And you love that about him. He's the ultimate competitor. I wrote about it on 2-Point Conversion. He doesn't care about being the MVP. Now, if you said, hey, Baker, would you like to be the MVP of the Super Bowl? He'd probably say, yeah, because that means his team won.
Yeah.
That's the only MVP he cares about is the Super Bowl MVP, not the regular season MVP. He is such a team-oriented, team-focused guy. Takes every bit of praise in stride, kind of downplays it a little bit. I was trying to kind of, prop him up a little bit during the summer, saying, Baker, you threw 41 touchdowns, a career high, almost beat Tom Brady's single season record last year, and 4,500 yards passing, and career high 71% completion percentage, best in team history. You're going into year 2 in this system. How do you feel about your level of comfortability? And what did he say? I gotta clean up my turnovers. Too many interceptions. Like that's it. And you love that. You love that about your quarterback.
Baker's biggest takeaway from last season is, we lost in the first round.
That's right.
Like that's the biggest thing to him. But there's no doubt Baker is playing at an MVP level early on in the season. And there's going to be ebbs and flows. I would love for the Bucs to go 17-0, but realistically, that's probably not going to happen. But if Baker continues to play at a high level, then he will be in that conversation for a majority of the season. But this is important for the Bucs. I'm not talking about specifically just playing against the Jets. Yeah. But we saw last year, too, after the great start, it's not just losing in week 3. It's starting the groundwork for when the Bucs would lose 4 or 5 or 3 or 4 and start that, dip downhill over and over and over again. So I think it's more important to win this game as well because the Bucs have 2 tough matchups right after as well with the Eagles and then going out west to play the Seattle Seahawks. So you don't want to be, and let's face it, even though the Bucs are 2-0, they are limping into this game against the New York Jets based on all of the injuries that the Bucs have. And there's a new one that popped up on the offensive line. And Scott, we're not even talking about Luke Gedeke or Tristan Wirfs. Cody Mauch did not practice today as well. Todd Bowles said he's going to be a question mark. So the Bucs can't afford to lose this game against the Jets, go 2-1, and then face the Philadelphia Eagles. You want to be 3-0 and have that house money going into the game against Philadelphia. And I'm not trying to overlook it as well, but injuries are one of the big storylines for this game on each side for each team, really.
Yeah, and I mean, I know he got, I'm sure, a pay increase, and he got a new title this offseason, Kevin Carberry. I don't know if like coaches are eligible for overtime pay. But I mean, I'm sure Kevin Carberry and Brian Picucci, the offensive line coaches, have been putting in some overtime, trying to figure out this lineup and reshuffle the deck. We were kind of laughing about it, Matt. We said, gosh, Cody Mauch is he's the last man standing and where he's supposed to be at right guard, right? After that Monday night game, Luke Edeke leaves, right? He's out. Charlie Heck is in, There's Luke. He's all pissed off on the sidelines, yelling at his foot, get better. And it didn't work, And we saw Luke today. He's in a boots. He's not even walking. He's in one of those little scooter things that you kind of like rest your knee on and you kind of scoot around. So it's a serious foot injury. It's definitely going to be a couple weeks. He was not even in a walking boot. He was not putting any pressure on that whatsoever. So, yeah, now you've got Cody Mauch that as Todd Bowles said, he's got a knee. Well, he technically has two knees, Todd.
That's true.
But one of them is hurt, apparently. But that's what Todd Bowles likes to do. He's got an elbow. He's got a shoulder. Well, okay. So I don't know, man. They need some rubber cement, some scotch tape, some duct tape. They're like duct taping, scotch taping, rubber cement this offensive line together some way, somehow. And I guess Elijah Klein, Luke Haggard, that might be the next man up on that line. Imagine if you're Baker Mayfield. And the Jets do have some pretty good pass rushers, right? Quinnen Williams inside is no joke.
Oh, yeah.
Will McDonald on the outside. I loved him coming out of Iowa State. I'm sure Samuel Fisher is a Will McDonald fan. You got Jermaine Johnson on the other side, a couple first rounders, actually all three of those guys first rounders. And Charlie Heck at right tackle, maybe Elijah Klein at right guard, Ben Bredesen at center, Michael Jordan at left guard, and Graham Barton at left tackle.
Yeah.
That's not ideal. That is not ideal. So as much as we could look at the records and say 2-0 versus 0-2, and gosh, look at the Jets, they're giving up all of these points. I think they rank either dead last or second to last in points allowed on defense. It's not going to be an easy game. If Tampa Bay was at full strength, it'd be a different story. It might be like week 1 last year, 37 to 20, against the Commanders, 26, whatever it was. Yeah, this is not going to be that easy of a game because of this retooled, reshuffled, makeshift offensive line.
Yeah, it puts a whole different element into this game because the Jets defense is such an odd one. And you have to remember, while it's a lot of the same players, it is certainly a different looking defense because you have Aaron Glenn coming in from the Lions and actually Steve Wilkes, the former interim head coach of the Panthers, who was a little more familiar with the Bucs and actually beat the Bucs when he was an interim head coach as well. Right. He's their new defensive coordinator. But it's so interesting with this Jets defense because while it is a lot of the same people, they have pretty much 2 or 3 stars on their team. Quinnen Williams, I put him a step below Vita Vea, but I still think he's a top defensive tackle in this league. And then Sauce Gardner, the cornerback, gets a ton of fanfare as well. It's interesting with Jermaine Johnson because he got hurt last game and I believe he did not practice today, just kind of checking out what some Jets reporters were saying.
Right.
And Will McDonald, early in his career, has shown flashes, but he's got a little Mark Gastineau in him. Mark Gastineau, the former Jets edge rusher way back in the day in the 80s.
The New York Sack Exchange.
The New York Sack Exchange.
Yeah.
Mark Gastineau was great at getting after the quarterback.
That's
Actually,
right.
He'd be perfect fit for the Bucs because you could just put him on third down. He loved getting after the quarterback, but he did not play the run at all. The problem for the New York Jets is right now their defense, it's very much all or nothing. And it's been a lot of nothing so far. I mean, they allowed 32 points now some of it was turnover related, but to former Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers in week 1. And then the Buffalo Bills absolutely just decimated them last week. A score of 30-10 in that last touchdown thrown by Tyrod Taylor, who we're going to talk about. Didn't happen until 3 minutes left in the game. So it was 30-3 at that point, then making it 30-10. But not having Cody Mauch, I think, is huge because we'll see with Jermaine Johnson. But if you're asking Elijah Klein to block Quinnen Williams, that's going to be very, very difficult. But if the Bucs can somehow find a way to hold up in pass protection, and if they find success running their football, they can attack the Jets in several different ways.
Yeah.
Even Sauce Gardner, who is a top corner in this league. Mitch Trubisky got in that game last week for the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen got his nose broken at one point.
Wow.
Mitch Trubisky was picking on Sauce Gardner. I shouldn't say picking on, but
Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky went after Sauce Gardner and allowed about a 15 to 20 yard gain. The rest of the corners and safeties for the for the Jets, they just don't have it. Tony Adams is a player that Josh Grizzard should be dialing up deep balls for Mike Evans against time after time after time. And also their nickel corner, Michael Carter II. The Jets had two Michael Carters at once. One
That's right.
was the running back. He's a little banged up as well. So I think if you get past Quinnen Williams and the edge rushers, the Bucs are going to be able to put on an attack on the Jets defense besides Sauce Gardner. So that's definitely something to pay attention to.
Yeah, and they're not really good stopping the run either. They're averaging 138 yards allowed on the ground. Tampa Bay got close to 170 yards against the Texans, which was a very good defensive front. Now, again, Cody Mauch's a big part of that, right? I mean, if you look here, I mean, granted, he kind of missed the block a little bit, but at the same time, maybe got a little piece of Al-Shahir there to allow Rachaad White to get in that touchdown. Charlie Heck actually had a fantastic block in this game. Came over from right tackle and didn't really pull, but came down the line of scrimmage almost like a trap and got Sheldon Rankins pretty good. You can see Payne Durham there just crushing his guy, the human wrecking ball there. But this was also, maybe this was the play where Cody Mauch got hurt. I don't know. He played the entire game. And so now all of a sudden he's got a knee injury. So maybe that happened on this play, or maybe it happened earlier in the game. He just kind of fought through it. But that would be a blow because Cody Mauch is key to the run game. It's one of his areas of expertise. He's very good when it comes to that. We do have the official injury report, Matt. Did you get that? Okay,
yes, it just came out
real quick.
Yeah, I'll announce it for everyone. These players did not practice. Emeka Egbuka with a hip/groin injury.
Yep.
Oh, boy. Luke Gedeke, foot, did not practice. Kalijah Cansey, they just put him on injured reserve. That was expected. Cody Mauch did not participate. Sarase Dennis with an ankle injury was limited. Chris Godwin was limited. That's some good news. Also an ankle injury. Hassan Reddick, shoulder, limited. Tristan Wirfs, also limited in practice with the knee. And Baker Mayfield, they have him as foot/toe, fully participated. Baker's going to play in the game, so don't worry about that. And then for the New York Football Jets, Tony Adams, hip, did not practice. All these guys did not practice. Michael Carter, shoulder. Justin Fields will not be playing, has a concussion. Jermaine Johnson, ankle. Keen Nwangu, he's a running back, did not practice. Josh Reynolds, hamstring, did not practice. Jay Tufele. Yeah, no relation. Jay Tufele, defensive tackle, did not participate. Marcelino McCarry-Ball, a linebacker, he was limited with the hamstring injury. And then Andre Sisco, Sauce Gardner, and Kiko Mawagoa all practiced in full. So there's your injury report. Egbuka, I mean, it's not just that the Bucs are getting injured. They're getting injured at positions where they already have injuries. Before the season started, it was Chris Godwin and Tristan Wirfs. And then through 2 weeks, it's Luke Gedeke is now hurt, the other offensive tackle. Your star replacement for Chris Godwin, besides Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka, now he's injured as well. We'll see with Emeka Egbuka. He was able to go for the whole game. And Cody Mauch as well. And, that's another thing. And again, I'm not looking for week 4 against Bucs-Eagles, but Bucs-Eagles last season, everyone was like, oh, hooray, the Bucs beat the Eagles. This was great. A big reason why the Bucs beat the Eagles last season was because A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Lane Johnson did not play in that game.
Great point.
And many times it comes down to having your best players available. You can get by, and we saw it when the Bucs won the Super Bowl. Yeah, Alex Kappa wasn't available, so you had to replace one guy. If you had to replace Tristan Wirfs, Chris Godwin, Emeka Egbuka, and Cody Mauch, and Luke Gedeke, that's so tough to do. And Kalijah Cansey on the other side. Like, you can have all the depth in the world. And I don't want to see people, because someone was complaining yesterday about the depth of the Buccaneers. Well, when you're missing 3 of your starting offensive linemen, there's only so much depth you can have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're not going to spend when you have spent, and Jason Light has spent it wisely in terms of the draft capital. when you have spent a first-round pick on Tristan Wirfs, a second-round pick on Luke Gedeke, a second-round pick on Cody Mauch, and a first-round pick on Graham Barton. All right, that's 4 out of 5 offensive linemen starters that have been picked in the first or second round. Outside of Ben Bredesen, and you have to have that one kind of cheaper guy, right, just to make the math work up front. Yeah. And thankfully, with Graham Barton, he's still on a rookie deal. Same with Cody Mauch now, right? Because you have a pair of offensive tackles that are making over $20 million a year. Having said that, it's like you can't keep spending first and second round pick capital on offensive linemen. You have other positions you gotta tackle. And so that's how you end up with a guy like Charlie Heck, who was a day 3 guy, drafted elsewhere, of course.
Yeah.
And Ben Chukwuma, who is an undrafted free agent, because you've spent your premium capital on your starting offensive line. And you hope, and the expectation is that you'll have them available. And sometimes, because football is not a contact sport, it's a collision sport, injuries happen. And honestly, the Jets' injury list is just as long, if not longer, than the Bucs.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. I know people want to get mad at the trainer, mad at the players and stuff.
What is the trainer supposed to do with a torn pec by Kalijah Kancey?
Exactly.
How's that the trainer's fault?
Yeah,
you know?
It's a torn pec. It's I'm sure, and I'm surprised that Rachaad White wasn't on there for his ribs. He took an absolute rib shot from a helmet during that game. But that's just the nature of it. And all you can do is just try to improve your depth. And I think this is a much more deeper team than it was last year. You can't fortify every position. Every team is going to have a weakness on their depth chart somewhere. Yeah. And you just hope that you don't have enough injuries at a position where you don't have a lot of depth. And last year that was cornerback. This year, I think they're deeper at cornerback. They can withstand some injuries. Knock on wood. Let's hope it doesn't happen. But you're not going to be able to plug all the holes in the leaky dam. It just doesn't happen. There's always a position or two that just don't have the numbers. Like linebacker this year is one of those, right? The inside linebacker spots, just they don't have the depth there. Hopefully that's a position that doesn't get hit with injuries like it was last year.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's so many different times where you can prepare as much as you want, but then if one certain position is out or a certain player is out, you have to move forward one way or another. And this year it's more of the offense that's been banged up than the defense, but certainly last year it was the defense that was banged up. And it's so funny you mentioned corner, because now corner is like a strength. Simon Collins playing pretty well. Yeah. Benjamin Morrison got his feet wet with a couple.
You got Bryce Hall on the practice squad,
right? Bryce Hall. I mean, that's exceptional.
He was their number 3 corner last year.
He was for one game, and then he was done. And then he was done for the whole year. Also, Christian Izien came back last game, didn't really play any defensive snaps, but made a great, as bad as special teams was, Christian Izien had one bright moment where he made a great tackle on punt return.
And you know what? Well. I'm going to say this too. When you have a lot of injuries, right? And listen, the X's and O's are one thing. It's not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes that win games, right? But coaching also matters.
Yes.
You do 2 things with coaching. Number 1, you develop players. You develop the draft picks and you make them better. You take free agents that come to your system, you get them coached up and acclimated into your system, and hopefully they're as good as advertised, or you can take them to the next level. That's one part of coaching. The other part of coaching is the X's and O's. It's finding that edge, exploiting weaknesses. It's kind of safeguarding and protecting your own weaknesses, right? And I tell you, I've been impressed by leaps and bounds by what Josh Grizzard has been able to do in 2 games. The points aren't there. Don't even look at the points. What I'm talking about is it seemed like the Buccaneers had 3 different game plans on Monday night. You had the game plan when Luke Gedeke was in there, right?
Right.
And then when Luke Gedeke, when he leaves and Charlie Heck comes in, then they had to kind of adjust to that. And they kind of switched gears a little bit, right? And then later in the game, really the second half, they went back to the run, and that was a different type of an attack there.
Yeah.
So to me, I just love the fact that in week 2, and we talked about this today with Baker Mayfield, it just Josh Grizzard, the moment's not too big for him. The in-game adjustments, which to me, that's the sign of a great coordinator, is you plan for A, and when they give you B, can you go to C and do the chess game and make the necessary adjustments to exploit the other team's weaknesses when you find them, and bolster your team's strengths. He leaned into the running game. How many times have we seen offensive coordinators, and I've seen a lot more than you, Matt. I've covered this team for 30 years, but it's like they stray from what's working. A play works
right.
or
it's
two.
like, oh, we have to pass it now. No, you don't.
No, you don't. And I love that about Josh Grizzard. He's like, oh, okay, Rachaad White is hammering the crap out of these guys. Let's keep doing it. Let's make them stop us. And that's why the running game was so effective the entire second half, was because they kept at it and they just wore them down, and they didn't try to get too tricky and fancy and all that. I just really appreciate what Josh Grizzard has been able to do in his second game. And I thought Todd Bowles has grown as a game management guy. Props to you, Zach Beislein, for helping out, getting the assist there. But Matt, it seems to me that, and we've seen it before, we saw it last year a lot, the Bucs have actually, I think, outcoached their opponent in these first two games. And I think that has played a role in a banged up Buccaneers team being 2-0.
I mean, you want to talk about out-coaching, and no one will admit it in the Buccaneers building, but what did we talk about yesterday? Did the Bucs allow the touchdown to Nick Chubb at the end?
Right.
I mean, you had D'Amico Ryans, the Texans head coach, on the sideline, like, yeah, we took the lead. And, Todd Bowles is probably snickering on the side, like, yeah.
Todd's like,
dummy.
You fell right into my trap.
This is exactly what we wanted. So, Todd Bowles was asked about that today, and he was like, doesn't matter. We won the game. And then Antoine Winfield Jr. was asked about it, and he goes, it was a great run. It was a great run. They asked him several times, too, because a couple of reporters had not been there when Antoine was speaking, so they didn't hear what was already asked. And then, he asked the same question. He kind of smiled and said, great run once again. But to go back to Grizzard real quick, with Rachaad White, too. Rachaad White had 2 rushing attempts in that first game against the Atlanta Falcons. That was another improvement as well. And I'm not saying every single week the Bucs have to say, oh, well, Rachaad White, he needs to have 10 snaps, and Bucky needs to have 17 snaps or rushing attempts, and Sean Tucker needs 5 to get everyone involved. But to see how they preserved Rachaad White after that first game, and he was big in the passing game as well in the first game against Atlanta from a pass blocking perspective. You use him more in this game. You ride the hot hand. You ride the momentum. And the only reason why Rachaad White got slowed down a little bit in that second game is that there was an injury to a Texans player. The Bucs were churning it. And then they went to commercial break because there was an injury or something that went on. And then that was the only thing that slowed down the Bucs slightly on the drive. And then I believe it led to the missed field goal by Chase McLaughlin. But that final drive, when the Bucs won it with 6 seconds to go, it was a ton of Baker running, no doubt about it.
Yep.
But then it was Bucky Irving making people miss to get down inside. A couple throws by Baker, but it was Bucky and then Rachaad White punching it in at the end. And then to your point about Josh Grizzard making adjustments, it's almost like he had the flow chart before the game, and it goes, if Luke Gedeke is playing, do this. If Luke Gedeke is not playing, do this. So it's like you have plan A and your adjustments.
Yeah.
Plan A quickly went to plan B. Then they saw what was working in plan B, but then you eventually have to make those adjustments within plan B, the same way that you do if you have your plan A based on what the Texans were doing. And I do like the fact that Josh Grizzard, it's so funny because it's very different from what Bruce Arians used to say when BA was here. He'd go, we never run the same play twice.
I know.
Like, we don't want a team to know about it. But now you look at Josh Grizzard, where week 1, the touchdown, the game-winning touchdown to Emeka Egbuka, because he now has 3 touchdowns and 2 in that first game. They had ran that play 2 other times. That was the 3rd time they were running that play, and they got the data of, okay, the safety's going to pinch in on Mike Evans.
Bates is going to come screaming down.
Exactly. So that makes him open. And then last week, just continuing to run it up the gut, up the middle, in between the center and the guard consistently with Bucky and Rachaad White, and it worked successfully over and over and over again. I think Josh Grizzard, I'm not going to say he's going to have a field day with respect to the Jets.
Right.
But again, once he figures out what he can do against the Jets, he'll be able to do it over and over and over. And I'm not saying that the Bucs are going to come out of the gate and immediately score 7 points. I would love for them to do that. But what we've learned is that Josh Grizzard it doesn't take him that long to figure out what he needs to do to get the job done for the Bucs offense. And this is going to be another test for him too. We'll see what's up with Tristan Wirfs at the end of the week and Cody Mauk and now Emeka Ibuka. But Josh Grizzard was here as well when the Bucs, while they did lose on Monday Night Football to the Chiefs, he was there when Liam Cohen had to make chicken salad out of chicken you-know-what with no Chris Godwin and no Mike Evans and no Jalen McMillan. And it was Ryan Miller making plays. Yeah, the pony package. Sterling Shepard. I wouldn't be surprised if Sean Tucker is more involved this week if they try to make Rashad or Bucky more of a receiving running back based on who's going to be available in the passing game. So another early obstacle for Josh Grizzard, but nothing that I don't think he can overcome or can't overcome.
Yeah, I'm with you, Matt. I agree with all those points. I'm looking forward to this game. This is going to be kind of a gut check game for the Buccaneers because they have been banged up through these first 2 weeks and they've kind of gutted it out. Best thing that could happen to this team, in my opinion, is actually do maybe kind of the unexpected, blow this team out and pull some of those starters off the field. You can't do a whole bunch. It's not like you're in college where you got 100 guys, on the sidelines and scholarship players and walk-ons and stuff. You only have 46 that you dress on game day. But yeah, get some of the guys off the field, get Baker out of there, put Teddy Bridgewater in there, because you do have an Eagles team coming up that is the number 1 team in the league right now. They're the defending Super Bowl champs. They're undefeated in the NFC, and this is a big game. They're going to be coming to Tampa for some revenge. They've lost the last 2 times here. They got thumped the last 2 times here in the playoff game back in 2023 and then in week 4 last year. And so you'd love to have a healthier Buccaneer team when the Eagles come to town. But first things first, and that means we've got some more Bucs Jets coverage to talk about. And we're going to talk about that after the game. That's right. We have the Bucs versus Jets post-game podcast. You guys have been just absolutely coming in droves for our post-game podcast. We appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it. We love the conversation. We love to break it down with you guys. Your questions, your comments are spot on. You're the most educated Bucs fans out there, and we love it. And we got a show tomorrow too. At 4 o'clock. The Bucs defense must ground the Jets' weapons. Not a whole bunch of them. We're going to talk about who the Jets have offensively that we have to kind of keep an eye on in just a couple of moments here. And then on Friday, we've got our Pewter Insider show. I know it's Pewter Insider, but this is all orange this week, folks. It's just how it is. We're talking about Rachaad White's role moving forward, not just this game, but the rest of the year and maybe years. Rachaad is in a contract year. Would this team consider re-signing him? What will his options be? We'll talk about that on the Pewter Insider show on Friday. That's our bonus podcast that Matt Matera and I do at 1:30 on Fridays. And if you want to become a Pewter Report TV channel member, you can. We would greatly appreciate that. And our Pewter Premier and Platinum members get access to the Pewter Insider shows on Friday. We love the turnouts. Listen, it's kind of an exclusive group, so it's your opportunity to really get all of your comments read on air, all of your questions answered. It's a close-knit, tight group of Pewter Report TV Platinum members we have. So it's a great time to talk to Matt and I just about one-on-one. So take advantage of that. Become a Pewter Platinum member today or Pewter Premier member for $9.99, $24.99. We also have membership levels starting at $3.99 for the Pewter people. So greatly appreciates your support with that. We're growing by leaps and bounds in terms of our members, and we always want to give a shout out to our Pewter Platinum members.
Yes,
as we do every program.
Yes, thank you to all of our Pewter Platinum members: Scott Federico, Rachel Gordon, Noah Parr, Scotty J, Dave Anderson, Hezo 813, Ash Fishpool, Joel Elrican, Sam, John Dale Morris, Zap Brannigan, RP89, Connor Four Reels, Kevin Thomas, Leighton Carter, Brandon Riley, Alec Bickler, Nick Dubuque, Zach Jarvis, Mario Thomas, Eric McMillan, Dominic Tarantino, HK Bucks, Brayon Pinkney, and The Real Maverick. Thank you so much for your support of Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel. And looking forward to the Pewter Insider on Friday. It's fun to just have a little more intimate setting with everybody. So be a good time.
Let's talk about some of the Jets' offensive weapons, because one thing we have seen from the Buccaneers is they cannot cover running backs out of the backfield. Now, we know Servassier Dennis can hit and tackle. He's really good inside the tackles in run support. But outside in pass coverage, that has been an issue. It's not all been on Servassier Dennis, but certainly he has struggled to take the right angle, make some tackles in open field. We saw a 50-yard catch and run by Bijan Robinson for a touchdown on the Falcons' first drive of the year. That was in week 1. And there were 2 big catch and runs. One was a screen pass by Nick Chubb that he took 27 yards. The other one was kind of a flare pass to Woody Marks, the rookie, that he took for 37 yards. And Servassier Dennis was not necessarily at fault on one of those, but it's been a problem. And then you got a guy like Breece Hall, Matt, who is a very good multi-purpose back. Hasn't had really the targets this year, maybe, but I suspect he's going to get plenty of targets on Sunday to try to get him matched up with Servassier Dennis in coverage.
Yeah, even Coach Todd Bowles said today he views Breece Hall as one of the best running backs in the league. He's a very smooth runner, kind of like Rachaad White, but he's much, much quicker than Rachaad is too. Can hit the hole much faster. I mean, he is the Jets' offense. Him and wide receiver Garrett Wilson, that's essentially all the Jets have on offense. They have a pretty stout offensive line, some pretty good offensive tackles too, but it runs through Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, their running back as well. But Breece, you get him out in space, and he is just as dangerous as, what Bijan Robinson was doing to the Bucs in week 1. And yeah, Bijan's a little faster than Breece Hall, but Breece Hall can make anybody miss. And he's really the one guy, along with Garrett Wilson, that can keep the Jets close with the Bucs. And we also have to remind everybody that Tyrod Taylor will be starting at quarterback in this game for the Jets. Justin Fields has been ruled out with a concussion. That's what head coach Aaron Glenn said today. So that's a little bit tricky as well, because while Justin Fields is the starter, it is his first year with the Jets. He only had 2 games with the team. One looked really good.
Yeah.
They scored 30 points, tons and tons of yards on offense. They actually ran for over 180 yards on offense. Last week, Fields didn't get injured until the 4th quarter. Tyrod Taylor came in with about 12 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. He ended up throwing for more yards, completing more passes, and had the only touchdown pass. So you really got the highs and the lows from Justin Fields in 2 games. Tyrod Taylor, as far as backup quarterbacks go, in my opinion, is one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league. He's played 95 games in his career. He started, I believe, 58 games. His record as a starter is 28, 28, and 1. So it's not like this is a game where you're dealing with a guy that's new. He's been around the block several times. This is his 15th year in the NFL. He's played for a handful of teams, was teammates with Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. Tyrod's 1 year in Cleveland and Baker's rookie year as well. So, Tyrod is going to want to run the football with Breece Hall, run it with himself because he's good on his legs. But they want to get the ball. His
nickname is T-Mobile.
Yeah, exactly. But they're going to want to get Breece Hall the ball in space as much as they possibly can. So that means a huge game is going to be needed for Servassier Dennis and Levante David as well. Because if the Jets, they don't have much besides that and Garrett Wilson. Their other receivers are really, really dicey. And I think Todd Bowles knows that. They can take advantage of it. But yeah, it's stop Breece Hall, stop Garrett Wilson, and keep Tyrod Taylor in the pocket. And the Bucs should win this game regardless of if they have Kalijah Cansey, which they won't or not.
Yeah, and to your point about Tyrod Taylor, he's 28, 28, and 1 as a starter, right? And he's thrown 69 touchdowns and 29 interceptions. That's not your classic backup quarterback statistic, right? It just isn't. It's usually with backups, you probably have like a losing record, right? And you probably have a closer to 1-to-1 ratio when it comes to touchdowns and interceptions. Tyrod Taylor is not your typical backup. I'm almost wondering too, like, if Todd wouldn't have been more pleased to get Justin Fields as the
Scott,
quarterback.
I think Tyrod Taylor gives the Jets a better chance to win.
I do too.
I legitimately do too.
Yep.
This is his second year in this system, so he's played with Brees. He's played with Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
He's actually never started a game with the Jets. In all of these career starts, this will be his first start with the Jets, but he
Right.
played a little bit last week. He played in 2 games last season as well. Tyrod's going to bring it. You know,
I know.
He's going to make this tougher for the Bucs, and I think people realize. And what's also important as well, and I want to ease the nerves of the Bucs here as well, is the Jets are still going to want to run the football, establish the run with Brees Hall and Braylon Allen. The Jets were going to have that opportunity last week against the Bills. Let's remember, the Bills gave up run after run to Derrick Henry in that game against the Ravens. The Bills did not have Ed Oliver, their best defensive tackle, last week, and they stifled the Jets running game last week. The Jets running game, no pun intended, never got off the ground. If I'm the Bucs, I'm committing everything to stopping the run and daring Tyrod to beat you with his arms, because he can run too. And even Todd Bowles admitted today that the Bucs have struggled a little bit in terms of with their 4-man pass rush, staying in their lanes, not letting the quarterback escape. So I'm committing to stopping the run nonstop, and the Bucs do a good job of that anyway. And then you let the Jets try to air it out.
Yeah, and the Jets trying to follow the Bucs playbook when it comes to drafting their offensive line, right? Because it all starts up front.
Yeah,
you know, you need a quarterback for sure, but you also need to protect that quarterback. Olu Fashanu and Armand Membo, 2 first-round picks by this team, are the bookend tackles. Joe Tippmann was a second-round pick by the Jets. John Simpson was a second-round pick as well, but not from the Jets. But there is some talent there, but also too you see some of the youth up front with Membo and Fashanu. So I'm with you. I don't know that the running game is necessarily their strength, and I think Tampa Bay can still shut it down. But listen, Brees Hall is one of those guys that if you give him a crease, he has the speed to get to the second level. And then once you're at the second level, he can break the tackle and get to the third level. So he is a breakaway type of running back when he has an alley to run through. Very dangerous runner. He's the kind of runner that you have to stop before he starts, right? The tackles for loss. And I think you're going to see a lot of first down run blitzes. Tyke Smith in the box, Levante Davids, Servassier Dennis crashing down into their gaps and trying to do everything they can to set up 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10. Those situations are going to help the Bucs get to 3rd and long. So I feel pretty good about that. I also feel good about the fact, too, that the folks over at Briar Greaves, they love the Pewter Report podcast, probably watching right now. But at the same time, they're also probably calling around and shopping the best insurance rates while they listen to the Pewter Report podcast for you. And are you paying too much for your insurance? Are you paying too much for homeowners, auto, flood, boat, or business insurance? You might be. Why don't you give the folks over at Briar Greaves Insurance a call and find out? Let them do all the legwork for you. Oh, and by the way, if you call them and mention Pewter Report, you're going to be entered into a raffle for the chance to win 2 lower-level tickets to the Bucs-Eagles game. How about that? All you have to do is call. No obligation to become a Briar Greaves Insurance member or customer. Just find out, hey, am I paying too much for my homeowners, auto, flood, boat, or business insurance? You might be. And if so, that phone call can save you money. Oh, and you also might win some Bucs tickets. The drawing is going to be held next Thursday for those Bucs and Eagles tickets. So give them a call, 813-876-4166. One phone call is all you need to find out if you're paying too much for insurance. They'll do the legwork for you and shop it around and let you know. And if you are paying too much, they're happy to write you a policy where they can help you save money and make sure that you're protected. And they're also willing to give you, if you're the lucky raffle winner, a pair of Bucs tickets for the Bucs-Eagles game in lower level seats. Not bad.
Not bad at all. So make sure you give them a call over at Briar Greaves Insurance. By the way, a little bit of roster news for the Bucs. This happened like right as the show started. The Bucs signed defensive lineman Elijah Simmons off of the Cardinals practice squad. They also put Kalijah Cansey on injured reserve, so Simmons will take that roster spot. Simmons signed with the Cardinals as an undrafted free agent this April. He appeared in all 3 preseason games, logging 75 snaps and recording 4 tackles. This is per the Bucs PR staff. He played at the University of Tennessee for 4 seasons and then played his last year of college football at where did he play? I thought it said he played at Arizona as well. But yeah, he played at University of Tennessee, where he had 59 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 3 passes defense, and a half sack. So he's going to wear number 92 as well for the Bucs. So there's your answer about how the Bucs are going to go
big
about
guy,
their defensive line.
6'1", 335. And what's interesting, Matt, is they opted to grab someone off of the practice squad from another team.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay is loaded at defensive tackle on their own practice squad.
They are.
They've got C.J. Brewer, who had 2 sacks in the Falcons game last year, and he's seen time on the active roster, 6'2", 290. Adam Gotsis, he was a practice squad elevation for week 1. He's a newcomer, but has been in the league for 10 years out of Georgia Tech. 6'4", 290-pound guy as well. Nash Hutmacher out of Nebraska, 6'4", 310. He was an undrafted free agent that signed with the team and made the practice squad. And then they also added Jason Jones, who is a rookie, 6'6", 335. He's a big man. I've seen him around the locker room. Huge guy. He's a rookie out of Auburn as well. So it's interesting. They've got 4 defensive tackles on their practice squad. That's a big number to carry on a 16-person practice squad. And yet they go out and grab a defensive tackle off another team's practice squad instead. So they're really loaded now in terms of bodies, right?
Yeah.
Again, as you said, no one's going to replace Kalijah Cansey and his freakish athleticism, but it's not like they're hurting at the defensive tackle position for bodies. They got plenty of them.
They have options, and we'll see how they play over the next month or so before that trade deadline comes around, and we'll see if they make a move then. But let's get to some of these super chats, shall we? Starting with Stubby Ryan, who I did want to make an appearance as well with the Bucs playing the Jets this week. So thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Says, this is the true culture test game. No letdown. I agree, because right now the Bucs are on the same trajectory, the same path that we've seen with Todd Bowles and the Bucs. A lot of expectations. They start out 2-0, but still make some Bucs-like mistakes. Last week was not pretty by any means. You had a missed field goal. You dropped another interception. You had a blocked punt. There were many, many issues with this team that we've seen before with the Bucs. Maybe not exactly the same way every single time, but then we've also seen with Todd Bowles as head coach, they lose their week 3 game. They haven't gotten over that next hump of starting the season 3-0. So I agree fully with this comment by Stubby Ryan that this is all about a culture test right now.
Yep, for sure.
KGH for life. Thank you for this $5 super chat. Says the Jets defense has struggled thus far. There's no reason the Bucs can't put up 30 points.
Yeah, this got to be a little bit of a heartburn situation for Aaron Glenn, right? Because he had a really great defense in Detroit, and then his entire defense got hurt. And then he would they give up like 40, 50 points or something to the Commanders in that playoff loss, and then to come to the Jets, and it's just a sieve in terms of allowing points, over 30 points or 30 points or more, I should say, in each of these 2 games for the Jets. And you're a defensive-minded head coach. That's tough. That's old. That gets old really quick to see that many points on the scoreboard. But, this, I'm not saying this can be a breakout game, because I think the equalizer for the Jets is how the Bucs offensive line is hurting right now. But if they can get the ground game going and provide some protection for Baker Mayfield and give him, a couple of clean pockets to throw the ball to Mike Evans and company, I'm not going to say they can't score 30 points. I'm not expecting it, but I think that there's an opportunity here against the Jets more so than the Texans or the Falcons over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think this could be a huge game for Mike Evans as well, whether or not Sauce Gardner is on him or not. I'm expecting the big Mike extravaganza game that we get every single year. One last thing on this, too, was Aaron Glenn said something interesting after their last loss. He said, we got to look at everything, including coaching, too. And many people were inferring that he was talking about Steve Wilks, the defensive coordinator, which is kind of a tough thing to call out your coaches after 2 games, and you just became the head coach of this team. So, LDBC's Most Wanted. Thank you for this $4.99 super chat. A very comical $4.99 super chat as well, as they say. I was so excited when we signed safety/corner Hassan Reddick. Don't you love your best pass rusher backpedaling and dropping in coverage? Come on, Bowles.
Yeah, as Josh Capo points out, he's dropped in coverage 12 times. That's not like an obscene number. It's about an average of 6 per game on average. We'll see. If there is someone I'd want to see drop in coverage, though, that could actually make a play in coverage, I think it would be Hassan Reddick. He has experience as an off-ball linebacker. He's got some good hands. He picked off Cam Ward in the joint practice, dropping in coverage. Sneaky. But, I'd rather see him get to the quarterback and get a sack than necessarily dropping in coverage, hoping to get an interception. I think your chances of being around the ball are better when you're taking the quarterback down. That's what you do best. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
By the way, this is the beginning of the Hassan Reddick revenge tour. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Hassan Reddick actually plays every team he's ever played for this year in Tampa. The Jets this week, the Eagles the next week. He's also played for the Panthers. They'll play them twice this year. And then, of course, the Cardinals later in the season as well.
Yeah, pretty crazy. We have a $2 super chat from Scotty Magnificent Lettuce. And I believe their picture is the top of...
That might be my head.
Of Scott's head.
It might be. That's a little frightening. I'm just being honest with my assessment there. That's a little frightening.
It's pretty wild. But anyway, thank you for the $2 super chat.
$2, I guess.
Yeah. Who says,
but why my forehead? That is not like an attractive part of me. It's not like I've got a great forehead.
I don't think anyone's, I don't
know, Matt. You've got kind of like the widow's peak going on. You've got a little
flattered by their forehead.
Yeah, but you've got some character with yours. You get the widow peak and stuff. It's mine just like, whoosh. At least I have hair.
Should have done like Peyton Manning's forehead.
Yeah, at least I'm 53 and I have hair, so I'm not going to complain about my forehead, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. Bright side. Just like your YouTube video.
Yeah. Oh, I do have a new Bucs Bright side. Check that out for the podcast.
But anyway, Scotty Magnificent Lettuce asks, will there be more of a 2-to-1 run ratio this game?
Sure. Love to see it. If they can do it, yeah.
I think how the game's going will dictate it for sure. I believe they would love to, because if they're going to have backup linemen in at this point all over the place, you'd rather have them run blocking than pass blocking. So I think that's going to be the goal, and then it'll be whether or not the Jets can kind of answer that. Eric Moreno, thank you for the $5 super chat, says, any concern with Ibuka not practicing today with the groin and hip? Only a walkthrough. I hope he plays.
I think he's going to play, but we saw him get wrapped during the game. With that groin in the hip. And honestly, his effectiveness, he kind of disappeared in the second half. He wasn't able to snap off those routes because of that. So it's something to keep an eye on. The two worst injuries you can have in football, in my opinion, in terms of lingering injuries. Now, obviously, a torn pec is serious. A torn ACL is serious, right? Those are, let's shelve those for the discussion here. In terms of like lingering injuries, the two things that you don't want to have during football season, groin injuries and high ankle sprains. Because at any given point in time, you feel like you're over it, and that one wrong move, and all of a sudden it flares up again. So let's hope it's a groin tweak and not like a serious groin injury. We did see Rashad White have a groin injury that kept him out for a couple weeks. Granted, it was the preseason. Maybe he would have played. I don't know. But let's send some healing vibes his way, because with 3 touchdowns, Emeka Ibuka is on pace for 25 touchdowns this year.
Yeah, he's been so important to the offense early on this season. And you also got to think, remember, on the game-winning drive, the play right before the big scramble by Baker Mayfield on 4th and 10, it was a deep shot to Emeka Ibuka down the field. And you have to think how much that those injuries were impacting him, because he had to stretch out a little bit for it. But you have to think, if he was fully healthy, maybe he gets like another inch on it or an extra push and was able to catch it. Now, it still worked out for the Bucs, but that was a tough play for him specifically. Thank you to Bulim Seba for the $1.99 super chat. Says, don't you think offensive tackle Ben Chukwuma is worth a shot?
Maybe. They're getting close to him. Todd Bowles, because I asked about Ben Chukwuma today, just for you, Bulim, because I knew you'd be coming up with this super chat here. No, my own curiosity, but I was just curious And sometimes coaches, if you really kind of read between the lines, they'll tell you what you need to know. He said he's got a couple people in front of him right now. They likes the progress he's been making, but I just don't feel like they're ready to trot him out there and have him play. So right now he is an emergency player for the Buccaneers along the offensive line, not a guy that is in contention to compete with Charlie Heck for the starting right tackle job while Luke Gedeke is out. So
Q's 44, thank you for the $2 super chat. Not asking about Sean Tucker, or maybe asking this to think if Sean Tucker can get more playing time. Anyway, we appreciate the super chat. Thanks for all your participation. Says, is Rashad's ribbies okay?
Yeah, he wasn't even on the injury report.
Wasn't on the injury
report. That's a good sign. Yeah,
which was surprising.
Yeah. Rolf Steinbauer. I bring this up because it's Tyrod. It's not
Taylor, yes.
Yeah,
that's
Baker Mayfield
mentioned today.
Yeah, he said it's not Tyrod, it's Tyrod, and he said Tyrod is he's not going to correct you in the media. He's just going to let you say whatever because he's such a nice guy. But we're nice guys too, and y'all are nice people. And we do this thing on game day mornings, and it was a Monday last time, but it's going to be a Sunday this time. It's called Pewter Pregame at 9:00, where Matt Matera and myself get you ready for game day. And you want to make sure you check out Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel. It's where you can find it, or we also stream it live on X and Facebook at Pewter Report. So lots of different ways you can watch it live at 9:00 from 9 to 10. And if you missed the show, that's okay. We have it archived for you. You can watch it all the way up to kickoff. We have people that actually listen to the show on the drive to the stadium, or actually listen to it in the stands. They put their AirPods in and listen to the show or watch the show on their phone prior to kickoff. However you want to do it, it's there for your consumption live or the archive version. And then Matt Matera is going to the game. Matt's going to the game, but we got you covered with Pewter Game Day. We are going to have Adam, Sly, Slavon, and Daniel Morales taking over and getting you guys all educated on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and get their live reactions as the Bucs take on the Jets in a very important Week 3 game. Pewter Game Day at 1 p.m. I'm going to be curious to see who steps up and fills your shoes in terms of the enthusiasm this week. Is it going to be Sly? Is it going to be Daniel Morales? Maybe both. I don't know, but you got some big shoes to fill there, Matt. But as someone who grew up, I don't know if you guys know this. This is like an inside scoop here, but Matt's actually from New York.
I am.
Yeah, and so this is his lifelong childhood team, the New York Jets, Jets. No allegiances, though, now because he is a Pewter reporter.
Plus, what allegiance would there be? The Jets haven't made the playoffs since 2011. There wouldn't be anything to root for, even if I wanted to.
Exactly.
Yeah, but no, I have a blast covering the Bucs. I love it. I certainly have friends and family back in New York that will be rooting diehard for the Jets. So, I still hear all the banter and the chat and everything about the Jets. But, I'm watching this game from a Bucs perspective, as I was when I was at joint training camp practice 2 summers ago.
Just like Mike Greenberg does. He grew up a huge Jets fan.
I'm in the same boat as Mike Greenberg.
That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, going to be a very entertaining game. Very much looking forward to going to it, especially with the Bucs wearing their throwback uniforms as well. But we're not done with Bucs shows either. We're going to have another one tomorrow talking about how the Bucs defense must ground the Jets' weapons. We'll be chatting more about this game, giving updates about what was said from the Advent Health Training Center. So make sure you check that one out. We also previewed all the other shows as well. So if you're not already doing so, please make sure you're following us on all of our social media on X, Facebook, and Instagram. We are at Pewter Report. And our YouTube channel is Pewter Report TV. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment as well. Let us know how you feel about this game. Do you feel good about it? Are you worried about it? We'd love to see your opinions on that one. But that's going to do it for us on today's show. For Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.